Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stew with JT Brew. We got college football betting show week 11. I've got my buddy Benny D and Toast in the house. Stick with us. You're in the stew.
You up on trades and why you move, you ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points, makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release, we started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery of the leaderboard. Quite obviously not a scrub, so start an institute, make evaluations like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sipping brew, sifting through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes, down to homies who click in groups. I introduce you to the Stew with JT Brew.
Hello. The Stew with JT Brew here on Fantasy in Frames. Usually a Tuesday night show. We got a Thursday night edition with the election and everything going on Tuesday. We were planning on kicking off at 10. We've been watching this Thursday night NFL action. JT Parlay play of the day, plus 6,300. They drive, they score the touchdown, but they give it up. I missed it 6 of 8, missed on a minus 5.5 by the Ravens and a Zay Flowers touchdown, boys. Tough one to go down tonight. The Ravens ended up pulling out by 1, but now, hey, we're going to get to the point. We're going to talk college football action here. Get you the main stuff going this week. A lot of bye weeks the last couple of weeks, but we got some good stuff this week. We're going to jump in. Let's pull up. Let's pull up a little action here, guys. Let's get the screen up. We're going to go to FanDuel here and talk through. No, DraftKings. Excuse me. I'm going to pull up the DraftKings site. Also, we might, if I find some different things on FanDuel, we'll jump in there and we'll go over that. But we're going to jump up here early and get things working for you. It is week 11 college football. We are getting down to the crazy time. Everything else is happening. We've got the playoff picture. We're going to talk a little bit about that as we get through here. Oh, we've already got a comment. I'd love it. My guy, Jamie, in the mix. He came from the stew. Let's make it spicy. Bring the heat. Jamie, I hope your parlay hit tonight. Just missed my JT Parlay play of the day on Thursday night. He's like, he took the Ravens money line in the parlay. Me and Jamie talked about it on his show earlier this week. I jumped on with him. We talked about it. I said, take the money line instead of the points. He's smart. He took the money line. I missed it. Money line would have been good for me, but I did miss on the Zay Flowers touchdown was the one thing that crushed me. Jamie, thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it, man. All right, fellas, let's get to the games. The Thursday night action, that stuff's over. We're not even going to talk about it. It's gone. It's in the past. Let's get into tomorrow night. We got a few games. Benny D, we've got to talk about this game just because they've absolutely murdered me this year. UCLA at home against Iowa, plus 6.5, over under 44.5. UCLA is my kryptonite. Holy shit. I cannot hit a game against UCLA this year. Somehow in my parlay last week, they come back, they beat Nebraska, and UCLA does me in for, I think, the 5th or 6th time in 10 weeks this year.
Yep.
The freaking Bruins, man. Tell me what I'm missing. They are no good. How do they keep covering and winning? I just don't understand it.
I guess they've gotten better. Either that or teams we thought were decent have gotten worse. But Nebraska was my Plums bet. And it was
what is happening in Nebraska? The Huskers. Come on, boys.
So that was a rough one. They just couldn't get off the field, man. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I watched the highlights, and it was like UCLA got every first down they needed.
Yep.
And Nebraska just could not get off the field. It was brutal.
You know what? I want to take Iowa so freaking bad, but it's like the universe is telling me, like, just stop betting against UCLA. Just stop it, Justin. Every week they crush my bar. Every week. I think it's at least 6 times I've lost a parlay on UCLA is the one leg I miss. betting against UCLA. It's
man.
brutal. We got another comment here. Out of Rhythm Fantasy. Thank you, sir. He says ECU dominating tonight, taking out my Florida Atlantic Owls 49-14. Toast. Don't you got a niece that goes to ECU?
Yep. My niece goes to ECU. I asked my brother if she was at the game tonight. He's like, no, she didn't go to the game. They're awful. She never goes to any of the games. And I looked up, and I know he actually took that game on a parlay tonight, and they were just pumping them tonight.
Yeah,
so,
49-14. East Carolina smoking. Outer also says better have Higgins for tomorrow. I do like that call. He could have a big game.
I was going to ask real quick, guys. This Iowa UCLA game. Just looking at the trending and stuff, and I just assumed that Iowa is a team that really can't score points. But and again, look at their competition. But they've been doing nothing but scoring the last 4 weeks, which is really surprising from an Iowa team.
They've got 40. They've scored 40. Iowa scored 43 out of 4 weeks. Out of 4 weeks, Iowa scored 40 freaking points. Are you kidding me?
And then you have UCLA actually coming off the UCLA coming off the 2 big road wins there, 27 points scored and 35 points scored at Nebraska, at Rutgers. This over 44.5 seems a little low, just given the trending anyway. Maybe they're just it looks good if you're just looking at the programs, but once you dig in the numbers, over 44.5 doesn't look bad.
Toast. Yeah. I am liking that. I like where your head's at. 44.5. The last 2.
Well, I don't really have a head. I'm just looking at numbers. That's all.
Well, no, the last 2 UCLA games, 35-32 over Rutgers and 27-20 over Nebraska. That gives them 3 wins on the year. I have UCLA under 4.5. A big bet on them under 4.5 this year. I said they'd be horrible. I still can't believe they won those games. I'm doing it again, boys. I don't give a shit. I'm back in. I'm on Iowa. I like Iowa and the over.
And if this was at Iowa, I would think maybe the over is just a little. I don't know, but the fact that it's at UCLA and they're coming off those 2 road wins and they're all trending that way, like I like it. I like the over.
No, I'm doing it again. I don't care. I'm sticking with it. UCLA sucks. I don't care what you say. Iowa is putting it to them. I know they got to go to the West Coast. These Iowa boys are going to freak out when they see LA. They don't even know what's going to happen to them. But I'm taking it. I don't care. Friday night, 8:00. You win this game, you can go party downtown LA. Iowa Hawkeyes. Give it to me. I'm taking them. I'm taking the points. It's 6.5 on DraftKings. I've seen a couple places at 6. I'm jumping on Iowa 6.5 in the over. Rice, Memphis, don't want any part of that game. I'm ignoring. Memphis screwed me last week. They're off my list. I'm not taking them. New Mexico, San Diego State should be a fun game. New Mexico State's been putting up points, man. Their quarterback, I tell you what, if you're playing any kind of fantasy college football, he has been an absolute beast this year. I've got him on a couple teams. He's just a fun player to watch, dual threat quarterback, and that's Devin Dampier. The guy can run, he can pass. He just does a little bit of everything. I need San Diego State for a win here. I've got them over on wins for the season. They're sitting right now at 3 wins. I think I've got them at 5.5 with 4 to go. It's not good. Not good, but they just got smoked by Boise State. They did play Washington State really tough. Only lost by 3. They got New Mexico, UNLV, Utah State, Air Force. This is a must win. I think San Diego State goes down at UNLV in 2 weeks. I need them to win this game, Utah State and Air Force. I'm gonna double down here. I'm taking my Aztecs minus 2.5. I think they can get a 3-point win.
I like that. Like that at home. Like I said, New Mexico State, the quarterback he's a player for sure.
He's fun to watch.
So it's gonna be a tight one, but I'm with you. I think San Diego State's the entire season's kind of riding on this game, but I don't know, man. You got 2 teams that are 3-6. It's gonna be a crazy one, but
it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good game. I'm leaning San Diego State. I think they're gonna be able to figure out a way to pull this one off. And I like it here in the comments. Out of Rhythm Fantasy says, how can you not like Iowa? Yeah. They have 2. I agree. 2 prospects for 2020. I agree. Out of Rhythm, you're the man. I agree. We're all on Iowa. We're jumping on Iowa this week. Iowa Hawkeyes are going to come through for me. After Nebraska and Rutgers absolutely hammered me the last 2 weeks, they're going to come through and finish off this 2-game winning streak by the Bruins. It's sickening to me. I can't even believe it. They're coming through. Let's jump on to Saturday. Let's get into some action. Miami, this team just keeps scraping by. Love Cam Ward. Right now, he's sitting as my QB2. If anybody likes, anybody's a DynastyLeagueFootball.com member, jump on there. I got my story. I got my first 2 rounds of fantasy football mock drafts coming out this week. Should come out tomorrow on DLF. So if you're a member of DLF.com, jump on there. I did my first 2 rounds. I'm going to give you a little sneak preview. I got Cam Ward 1-6. I got him 1-6 in fantasy football drafts next year. I think he's the number 2 QB off the board in the NFL draft next year. He's been lights out. Haynes King has been banged up for Georgia Tech. I'm on Miami in this one. I'm going to push it down to 10 just to make it even, just in case, but here's the big difference in this game, guys. Miami, number 1 in the nation in scoring, 47.4 points a game. Georgia Tech, without their quarterback who runs this team, they're 119th, 27.7. That's a 20-point difference. They both give up about 22 a game. I think this is a Miami win, and I like Miami. I'm gonna probably push it down to a 10 just in case, but I'm all over the Hurricanes in this one.
JT, at first glance, I don't really know why the spread would actually be 11 in this game. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I'm shocked. I think it's going to go up a lot higher. You got a 9-0 team ranked number 4 in the country against a 5-4 team. This number seems too low, and I feel like it's just going to rise as people get in there, start looking at their Saturday bets. I think this game is going to go up a couple points. I want to get on it early.
Yeah, no, I think it's the only reason the spread could be what it is. I guess you could say it's a little bit of a sleepy spot for Miami, but but they're just too much, man. That's especially with Georgia Tech not having all their guys. I mean, to me, this is I'm with you, man. You can take it. They're a 2-touchdown win for sure in this game.
Benny, you thinking just the fact of the early game, right? The 11 o'clock start for Miami. Used to that, yeah,
maybe. Yep. Okay. I think it's a little bit of a look ahead. They got a big game next week.
They can get this one, then they're at they're home for Wake Forest, and then they got Syracuse at the end of the schedule, which would be a big one. We got another comment here from Out of Rhythm. Why isn't Miami ranked number 2 yet? Ohio State is ranked 2. That's trashy teams. Yeah, I tell you what, I think the only reason Miami's getting a little bit of hate is they've snuck out a couple. They stuck out a couple. Ohio State.
Remember that Cal game?
Yeah. The Cal game, the Virginia Tech game, they really lucked out. The Louisville game went down to the wire. I think Ohio State is above them just because Ohio State lost to Oregon only, and Oregon's number 1. And let's be honest, if you watch that game, Ohio State should have won that game. It was at Oregon, but they should have won that game. I think the voters are giving Ohio State the benefit of the doubt that they lost at Oregon in a 1-point game, and they actually looked like the better team. And Miami has not played nearly as a tough schedule, and they've really lucked out on a couple games. I think that's the big difference. Jamie, we know he's an Ohio fan. He's a Cleveland Browns fan. He says Buckeyes 100%. I tell you what, the Buckeyes just need to make the playoffs, which I think they will. They have the most talent in the nation. I'm telling you, when you go look at the NFL mock drafts right now, they are absolutely loaded across the board. I think their biggest problem is quarterback. I really do. I know they got the transfer, Will Howard from Kansas State. I think it's a mistake. I think if Kyle McCord would have stayed at Ohio State, he is balling at Syracuse. I think if Kyle McCord was still on Ohio State, I think they'd be the clear-cut favorite to win the national title.
I totally agree. They're loaded. I mean, defense, offense, they're loaded with guys. I think you're 100% right. The only reason you would think they could possibly lose because of the quarterback situation. And they got, it's not terrible at that spot, but you're right. I think if they would have stuck with McCord, they'd be a wagon, dude. But
I like it.
I still think they could definitely make their way.
I still like what they got. Jamie says one big on the Buckeyes last week, which is nice. Out of Rhythm says They couldn't ball out against Nebraska, which is true. I will give you that. That was an ugly game against Nebraska. I had to eat that one. That one killed a parlay for me that I went, of course, I went 5 or 6 with Nebraska. This is how my season's gone. Nebraska covers against Ohio State, but loses to UCLA. Are you freaking kidding me? Those are the ones that just bite you because you're like, there's no freaking way. What do you guys think? Texas, Florida's got injuries all over the place.
Yeah,
it's not been pretty. Do you think Texas right now is 22.5 over under 47? Do you think Texas actually lights them up? What are your thoughts on this way? I think Lagway is injured. That is a huge loss, and Mercer has gone down too. So,
if Lagway was playing, I'd be real tempted to go Florida here to cover the number. They're not going to win, but man, Florida has looked pretty good, really, in the last 3 games, and they're a real team. And Texas, I mean, 21.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, no,
you know.
Quinn Ewers has been very iffy this year. 1,300 yards, 14 TDs, 6 interceptions. Not what you were expecting from a guy that was supposed to be a first-round quarterback. But I tell you what, the Texas defense has been phenomenal. They are number 4 in the country, only giving up 11.5 points a game. That's where Texas wins for me. The defense is going to shut down Florida. Do they have enough offense to cover? It is at home, which I think definitely helps the cause here. This one's a toughie for me. I'm going to have to think about it. I'm not sure I want to jump on the 22.5 at this point.
Yeah, I would lean Texas only because, the injury situation with Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm worried about Florida. I'm worried about Florida putting up any kind of points. This might even be an under, to be honest with you. It's 47.5. I could see Texas coming out here, put up some early points, just absolutely shutting down Florida, and then just holding on.
Yep.
I actually, if I'm leaning on this game, if I'm taking anything, I'm taking the under.
Yeah, and JT, if you think it's going to be a close game, a low scoring game, that is, you may want to go ahead and actually look at some defense there. Anthony Hill, the Longhorns linebacker, in his last 5 home games, he's had a sack in every single game. So go ahead and look at that defense, especially if it's going to be a defensive game. Florida can't really do a whole lot. They're going to be really you said a backup quarterback, right? They're going to be struggling a little bit there.
They've been injuries. So I'm not sure if their starters coming back or not. Mertz was hurt. They went with Lagway. I have not seen the update on who they expect to start at QB this week. It's got me real nervous.
Yeah.
I like I said, I think Florida's gonna struggle to move the ball in this game. The points just seem too much to me. I would just prefer to take the under.
Yeah, if you can get a Hill at even money, close to it anyway for a sack, that would make sense. Again, just looking at the trending anyway, and specifically if they're going to start a backup quarterback and really be struggling to find a passing game anyway, and they're going to be down a little bit, they're going to have to be forced to actually get in those situations where they're going to blitz, they're going to pass rush there. The sack makes sense.
Yep, I like it.
Next game on the slate for us here. Let's jump down. Purdue, Ohio State. Are you guys? It's 38 over under 53.5. Do you think Ohio State just absolutely runs them?
Well, who does Ohio State have the next week?
I feel like they should, but now I'm now I'm nervous. I feel like it should, but now I'm nervous.
Who does Ohio State have the next week? Because they made us honestly take it easy and still know.
Well, here's the thing: is they've gotten up early. Yeah, they've gotten up early in a lot of games and just kind of shut it down. Like when they're just been way up. Currently sit on the schedule right now. These should be 2 cakewalks. They got Purdue, Northwestern, the huge showdown with the Hoosiers in 3 weeks. Is the Hoosiers? I every time I see the Hoosiers ranked in the top 10, I'm like, am I looking at the basketball list or the football list? There's no freaking way. They got the Hoosiers and then the big game against Indiana. Maybe they sleepwalk through these last 2 after beating Penn State last week. I'm probably avoiding this game just because it should be a blowout. But man, after that Nebraska game, they've just really, really disappointed me. Oh, our boy here in the comments, Johnny McGlynn, holy Thursday night football, 86 points for Jamar Chase in one of our leagues where we give a bunch of bonus points for over 200 yards and huge touchdown passes. Jamar Chase fired there, John McGlynn. In case you're just joining in, I missed my parlay. 6 of 8 for plus 6,300 was so close. Classic JT Parlay. Johnny, thanks for checking in with us. And Out of Rhythm says Burrow Chase stack monstrous. If you lose in your fantasy league this week and you had the Burrow Chase stack tonight,
no
God,
way.
that's awful. There's just no way. I mean, those guys absolutely lit it up. We finally got ourselves a good Thursday night football game. Let's keep back here to the college football action. This could be the game of the week in the SEC. Georgia, number 3, 7-1 against number 16 Ole Miss at 7-2 at Ole Miss. Georgia right now, as we're looking at, as we pull it up, let me find it again, as I think I went by it. I'm out of order here, fellas. My bad. Georgia, 2.5 point favorite right now. Over under on this one is 55. You guys got any thoughts on this one?
I'm on Georgia. I'm on the Bulldogs. And I think Ole Miss has they've gotten some stuff going the last couple of weeks. They got a little bit of mojo back, but I just think Georgia is a way better team. And they have a good defense. I'm Georgia, and I know they're on the road, and I'm probably going money line with Georgia because it's like, 2.5, whatever. It's like, who's going to win this game? I think Georgia's going to win, and I think Ole Miss's season is going to be over after this week.
Here's the thing with Ole Miss. This is the season right here for Ole Miss. If Ole Miss can win this game, they got Florida and Mississippi to finish it off. Those are 2 games they should win. If they beat Georgia here, they have a shot. They'll finish 10-2. That's making the playoffs. If you're 10-2 in the SEC and you have a win over Georgia and a win over
they would
and your
run the
losses
table,
at LSU,
because they lost those 2 games, and I think maybe 3-4 weeks ago, whatever we talked about it in the podcast, was like Mississippi, Ole Miss, like they could technically run the table and still get in the playoffs, and that's where we're sitting because they're definitely going to win the next 2. But I don't know, man. Georgia is that's a tough team, and I just don't think they got it.
Georgia hasn't been looking great offensively of late, but their defense is so tough. Ole Miss has been better defensively. I think this game comes down to Jackson Dart for me, and here's the big one for Ole Miss. Does Trey Harris play? Trey Harris has missed the last 2 games. He's been an absolute beast. I love Trey Harris. He's been great. He missed without him in the game last week. Jordan Watkins just went off. I mean, went absolutely off. One of the best games I've ever seen in individual performance. He had 8 catches for 254 yards and 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns. Monster game from him. 515 yards passing for Jackson Dart and 6 touchdowns. Ole Miss is going to have to move the ball and score. But they have not seen a defense like Georgia all year. No. I mean, not even close.
I guess I'm buying, I'm buying low on Georgia and I'm selling Mississippi at this point, because I mean, this is going to be a great college football game, but I don't know. Everything tells me, this should be a Georgia game.
Yeah, Out of Rhythm. Toast, I was going to say, Out of Rhythm agrees with me. He says he wants Ole Miss to win. The only way Ole Miss wins, Trey Harris back this weekend. Out of Rhythm, totally agree with you. It was nice last week. The Jordan Watkins huge game was nice, but if you look at him, he's barely been used this year. They need Trey Harris back. Toast, jump in here. Oh, it's our boy Johnny McGlynn jumping in. Toast, go ahead and give us your thoughts on this Ole Miss Georgia game.
Well, the only thing that stands out to me is that the fact that Ole Miss really the last 2 weeks you play an Arkansas team who actually can't stop anybody. Their defense is crazy. Oklahoma again been down this year. You only scored 26 points at home, and I get again your best receiver has actually been hurt, but I really like the last time they actually went against a really good defense, like a really good defense in Kentucky. That was early in the season. They only put up 17 points.
Yep.
The under 24.5 for Ole Miss is plus 100. And it just, again, I know you're home, but like you said, they haven't faced a defense like this all year. That just kind of seems like the play for me, under 24.5 for Ole Miss.
I like that.
Johnny McGlynn, thank you for joining the chat, man. We got the whole crew here. We got all the boys.
Yeah, look at us. Stay on there, Johnny. What's up, man?
All the boys from the hockey league in the chat. Nice to have you, Johnny McGlynn. Thursday night action. Hell of a Thursday night football game. I hope for your sake you had a lot of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow tonight.
I had zero of either one of them because I got smoked in like 3 or 4 leagues, but that's how that works.
All right, hey boys, let's Johnny, feel free to jump in here if you got any thoughts. Hey, we're gonna move on to the next game, and this one, I we talk about these things. I say this stuff all the time. I'm gonna find it on the list as people moving around here. I cannot believe my eyes. Number 8 Indiana at home, 14.5-point favorites over Michigan. Over under 49.5. Benny, this has been your Plums team for most of the season. The old Hoosiers. Do the Hoosiers get it done at home against the Wolverines and set up a monstrous top 10 matchup with Ohio State coming up?
Yeah, well, the one week I thought they were going to falter was against Michigan State, and they absolutely
rolled them,
pounded them. And I was like, well, that was a mistake. This team's for real. And the fact that they're okay, so like every week they've been a touchdown or less favorite. Mm-hmm. This is the first time like they're setting this line at a number that's like, 14.5. Like, okay, now we're talking, 2.5 touchdowns. But I don't think Michigan's any good. We've talked about that a million times. But dang, I mean, there's nothing that should tell you to just not take Indiana. They've covered 8 out of the 9 weeks, I guess, that they've played. So I don't know, man.
Here's the one thing I will tell you. If you want to go back and look at Michigan's schedule, we all know they haven't been good this year. They're not, coming off a national championship. But here's their losses. The only time they've lost by more than 14 this year, they lost 31-12 to Texas in week 2. Their other loss was 10 at Washington. They lost to Illinois by 14.
Yep.
So 14 to Illinois. Oregon last week, 21.
I hate to admit
That's the only game they've lost by more than 14.5.
Yeah. I hate to admit it. Illinois is not.
And Illinois is that was a great win. They held on there. I think Indiana wins this game, but man, I am so nervous to go over 14.5. Even though I know it's like everything says you should take Indiana, but me living in Big Ten country, I cannot look at IU and go, I can take IU to beat Michigan by 14.5. It seems like everything in my bones is like, you can't take that bet. You can't take that bet.
Well, right? So 34.5 for the Indiana over at plus 120. That's the even money bet. And yeah, I mean, they've been under that twice. The first game of the season, Florida International, probably just finding their way, right? And then versus Washington at home. But it just, I mean, why bet against them at this point? They're an offensive juggernaut. I would say go ahead and bet the over 34.5 and get them to 35 points. You can parlay it. You don't have to put a whole lot of money on it, but that just seems like the only play that actually makes a whole lot of sense. So, if not, if you think Michigan's actually going to go ahead and move the ball, which do they even have a quarterback now? Do they have a quarterback?
Dude, their
what's going on there?
Is so bad. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
Out of Rhythm just jumped in there and he says, "Your offense, you can't win when you have 85 total passing yards every week."
Yeah, so short fields, right? Short fields. They're going to get up on them. They can only run the football, become one-dimensional. Why wouldn't Indiana actually score over 33.5 points for the plus money?
And here's the thing, Toast. If they do, then you got to take Indiana in the points as well. So that's a that's like a in-game parlay. You could just say Indiana and maybe move it down to 13.5 just so.
And the over on the team points,
on the team points, because if you really think Indiana's going to put up 35, they're going to cover the number because Michigan just can't do anything.
Yeah, because they're not. You're right, because Michigan's not going to put up more than 17 points in the game. Maybe so. You're right. There's your 18 spread, 35-17, and seems fine.
On underdog, Davis Warren is 154 passing yards. Passing touchdowns is 0.5. So they're expecting him to throw not even one touchdown in this game.
Wow. There you go.
154 passing yards.
Seems like easy money. And the more we talk about it, it seems like Indiana's pretty easy money. All right. So
I know you guys are talking me into it. It's like the thing is, everything says you should bet that, but being someone from the Midwest who's just seen Indiana be
so hard
for my entire lifetime, it's so hard to get rid of the team, get it out of your face and be like, look at this team, don't look at the logo,
right?
And what team is the team? Because you could easily take Indiana, put the Michigan logo on them, and make Michigan the Indiana logo, and you'd be like, oh yeah, 14.5. I'm taking it all day long. If it was Michigan, if you flip the logo, you're taking it all day long.
Yep.
So I think you guys are right. I think Indiana just feels like it should be the play. Should absolutely be the play. Game we don't need to get deep in depth in. Iowa State coming off their first loss. They're -3 at +3 Kansas. Kansas is falling apart. They're a dumpster fire. I don't know how you don't take. I can't believe this is -3. It's the only reason I'm even bringing it up.
Wow.
You have 7-1. Iowa State, number 17 in the country, against 2-6 Kansas.
I'm going to say right now.
I'm going to have to look into this game because there's something about that line doesn't look right. How is this not a hammer Iowa State at -3?
The only reason it's not is because the Big 12 is garbage, man. It's garbage. So I feel like
Iowa State has not played a very tough schedule. So we will say that. Their schedule's been pretty weak.
We said last week that Iowa State was probably the most overrated team in the country.
Benny, we did say take Texas Tech, didn't we? We did. Yes. We both said Texas Tech, and Texas Tech won by 1. We said take the points on Texas Tech to cover.
I think that whole conference is up for grabs, man. And I know Kansas is 2-6, but it's like I don't trust Iowa State. 3 points is, but I don't know. I have
selfishly, I'd love to see Kansas win because I need Iowa State to go down again to give Colorado a chance at the Big 12 championship game. I got that money on Travis Hunter for the Heisman, baby. I need him to go as far as he can go.
Hey, Colorado's got a path. They
do, and the big path. And I was going to bring it up. We'll bring it up here in just a second. Never mind. We're going to talk about it right now. So we're going to jump into the Colorado game. They got a pass. So Colorado's 6-2. They're at 6-3 Texas Tech, who just knocked off Iowa State for their first loss. The other two teams in front of them in the Big 12 right now, BYU and Kansas State. So this is a big one. I'll slide down here so everybody can see the game. Let me find it. It's a 3:00 game
Sanders,
Central time.
329.5 passing yards.
What did you say, Johnny?
329.5 passing yards for Shedeur Sanders in this game. An underdog.
Over under. Yeah.
It's 229 or
329.
Oh my goodness. I've been taking Shedeur Sanders 300 plus passing yards and 2+ touchdowns in damn near every game this year. And he's hit it a majority of the time. 329. Whew.
That's I got to take the under.
He's usually been in the 280, 290 range. So I've been taking the plus 300. So that's interesting. But this is, like I said, this is a big week here. Colorado, if they can win this game, This is a toughie, and I want to see what you guys think about this because I know I'm going to go with my heart. My niece goes to Colorado. I've been pushing Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter all year, so I'm like really close on Sanders over touchdowns and over yards bets that I put in this year. I had him over 25.5 touchdowns, and I had him over 3,000 passing yards. He's 400 passing yards away, and he's 5 touchdowns away from hitting both of those. So I am like full head of steam on Colorado. I've got a huge bet on Travis Hunter to win the Heisman. I almost cashed out 2 weeks ago. I had a really nice cash out offer, and I was like, I just don't know if I can pull the trigger. I want to keep it. So here's the deal. If they win this game, they're home for Utah, which has fallen apart. Utah, I thought, was the team that's going to win the Big 12. They've fallen apart. Then they're at Kansas and home for Oklahoma State. This is the game for Colorado. If Colorado can win this one at Texas Tech, this would give them a nice path to a chance at the Big 12 championship. Obviously, right in the way right now, they don't play BYU with all these teams being just huge divisions. Not everybody plays each other. So they still got to play BYU. But if they can win and they can get a Kansas State and an Iowa State loss somewhere, they can jump in and play BYU in the Big 12 championship. The way it works is the playoff. Whoever wins the championship of the division of the conference automatically gets in. So there's a chance that, a one-loss BYU team and them could get in as well. Kansas State on bye this week. So they've got just a couple tough games left. So this one, let me look at Kansas State because Kansas State is 7-2 as well.
So while you're looking at that, I'm just gonna say Taj Brooks,
Cincinnati and Iowa State, the last game of the year.
So while you're looking at that, Taj Brooks is 126.5 rushing yards. So they're expecting Texas Tech to just ground and pound and keep the clock running on their side and keep Shadur Sanders off the field. So if that happens, like he won't get his passing yards, but I mean 140.5 rushing and receiving yards on underdog. That means it's a one-man show.
Well, and he has been a one-man show most of the year. The over-under on this is 62.5, and I hate to tell you, I don't know if that's too much. This game could absolutely be both teams in the 30s or 40s, an absolute shootout. Colorado has had no running game all year. Texas Tech has been throwing the ball all over. These teams combined are averaging 67 points a game. So, yeah. I mean, they're giving up. They're giving up 56 points a game. I think this game goes over. I really do. They both are averaging over 400 yards per game. Passing yards, Johnny.
255 for Brett
323 for Colorado, 282 a game for Texas Tech. I think we're going to see a shootout. I think the ball's going to be in the air. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to post it later because I haven't got enough. I got to wait till I see the individual stuff come out. But on DraftKings or FanDuel, I am absolutely going to put a same game parlay together in this one. And I am going to take the over. I'm going to take Colorado. I'm going to probably take Shadur Sanders over passing yards. And I'm going to take Travis Hunter over receiving yards, and I'm going to see about Morton passing yards for Texas Tech where he's at. But I'm telling you right now, I'm going to end up putting that together.
Hey, JT, I'll say here as well, Texas Tech, there's only one team in college football for Division I, and that gives up more passing yards per game as a defense than Texas Tech, and that's Tulsa. They're giving up 307 yards a game. Now the touchdowns they're actually giving up per game isn't awful, right? It's not awful. They've given up 20 over a 9-game period. Okay, all right, it's less than 2 or just a little bit over 2, but the yardage, right? So look at Shadur Sanders on the yardage there, and maybe Travis Hunter on the yardage receiving as well.
Absolutely. Johnny, that's why that number is so high. Texas Tech has got smoked through the air this year. Colorado, that's how they get all their yards. They get all their yards throwing. I have no problem taking the over on Shadur Sanders. I think he could throw for close to 400 in this game. I really do.
Baron Morton has 255.5 passing yards on underdog. What does he have on DraftKings?
I like that. 255 is nice. I like that. I'm telling you right there, same game parlay, Morton over passing yards, Shadur Sanders over passing yards. Ooh, Kelly. Need to jump in on Kelly for Texas Tech. He's been a beast this year. receiving. He's coming into this game. He has 68 catches for 736 and 5 touchdowns. I'm on Kelly over yards. He's averaging 81 a game. He's coming off an 8-catch, 127-yard, 2-touchdown game against Iowa State. I like Kelly and Hunter over yards. I'm telling you, I'm going to put a beast of a same game parlay in for that. I like that a lot.
Josh Kelly, 78.5 receiving yards on underdog. Yeah,
over. Yep, I love it. I absolutely love that. I'm going to definitely put that one together.
Texas Tech is not proven to be good on defense at all.
Yeah.
Toast just said they're number 2 in the country in giving up and passing yards.
Second to last.
Second to last.
Worst. I mean, only Tulsa's worst. I mean,
there you go.
I was checking that out. I even did a Control F to actually look for them and the team statistics, and I was like, holy shit, they came out at second to last. They're pretty bad.
That's why Toast is our stat guru. He's the guy who can find it. Out of Rhythm has bringing up. He says working on a couple dynasty ranks rookie drafts. Oh, I love this because I just did my rookie draft first and second round for DLF. If you are a member of there, I said earlier, go to DLF.com. I think the article should be out tomorrow. I got my fantasy football drafts, NFL 2025 draft. I got 1 through 12 in the first round and 1 through 212 in the second round of my rookies. I like. He says, I've got McCord number 7 over yours, Beck and Alar. Dude, I like McCord. He's getting slept on. He's got Cam Ward number 1 and Sanders number 4. Don't hate me. I don't hate that at all. I'm actually right now, I'll give you my rankings of what I have sitting right now. I've got Shadur Sanders number 1. I got Cam Ward number 2. Beck was my previous number 3. He has dropped for me. Drew Alar is number 3 for me. I know it sounds crazy. He has all the Josh Allen skills you want. Huge, young, big arm. He hasn't played in a great offense. He hasn't had a lot of talent around him. I think NFL teams are going to love Alar. I think there's a chance he sneaks into the first round. If he goes back to school, I think he could absolutely go number 1 next year, but there's a chance he comes out. He right now is number 3 for me. Ewers, I do not like very much at all. I've got Beck 4, Ewers 5, McCord 6 right now for me. And that's if Nussmeier doesn't come out from LSU. I think Nussmeier goes back because I think he could be the number 1 pick next year. Or number 1 QB, excuse me. And Jalen Milroe for Alabama. If he comes out, he's going to be in that mix. Milroe, I feel like, needs another year. He needs another year. He's in that. He's in that Justin Fields. He kind of feels like a Justin Fields right now. It's like he can throw the long ball deep. He's really athletic. He just hasn't quite put it all together yet. If he comes out, he's going to be an interesting guy to see how he tests. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. Always love to talk college fantasy as well. So thank you, Out of Rhythm. Thanks for joining the show and bringing that one up. All right, fellas, let's head into this next game. You got me all fired up about this Colorado Texas Tech game. I'm going to be all over the bets in this game. I love it. I just think things could get wild. Let me look through the schedule, get back on track here as I've jumped around too much on us here. Another game.
Why you're looking at?
We don't have to get big in this one. What do you guys think? I think Clemson's 6.5 at 6-2 against 5-4 Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's played tough this year. I think this is a Clemson. I think this is a Clemson route. What do you guys think?
It should be. You know, they got beat last week. I don't know. Virginia Tech, not a great team, but I'm with you. I think
they played a backup running back and quarterback. Syracuse came back and won that game, which I was all over. I loved it. Had the money line when they got down. They covered, which I took earlier in the week. Virginia Tech's reeling a little bit. It was a tough loss by Clemson. I thought LSU or Louisville would play them tough because Louisville has played everybody tough this year. I think Clemson covers this. I think they win at least by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm with you. Virginia Tech's. Go ahead. Sorry.
Jay Klubnik, 246.5 yards on underdog.
246 for Klubnik. That's a nice stat for him. He I tell you what, for how much shit he's been taking from people, he's been actually pretty good this year. He was a guy, huge recruit. People were expecting a lot of him. He didn't come out and crush around the bat. He's averaging 258 a game this year. If you look at what Syracuse just did against Virginia Tech, Kyle McCord was chucking the ball all over the place against them. Kyle McCord had a monster game. If I can, I'm going to look back last week real quick. Kyle
29.5 rushing yards for Klubnik. What do you think about that?
What was it?
29.5 rushing yards for Cade Klubnik this week.
Ooh, that's interesting. I haven't paid attention to his rushing yards. 280 for McCord last week in a game where they kind of struggle a little bit on offense. I think that's an over for Cade Klubnik. I think it's an over passing yards there.
Don't you guys think right now that Clemson is unbelievably desperate? The fact that they have to win out. So Virginia Tech and at Pittsburgh as well. They're ended up with Citadel and then South Carolina actually at home. They know if they run the table, they will probably actually. I mean, could you imagine? Yeah, they'll get in. They know they actually have to get in, and they also need to maybe have those style points, right? I know you didn't really. That was big in the past, but still, just to make it in, you have to have the style points. How do you not like them at actually -6.5? They have to have it.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the ACC standings to get the ACC championship game and make the playoffs, right now you got Miami undefeated 5-0, SMU's 8-1 and 5-0. Clemson's in third right now, 6-2 overall, but 5-1. If they can win out and get a loss from LSU or SMU, Pittsburgh's also 3-1. I think they're a little susceptible, so they're right in the mix. If Clemson makes the championship game, Clemson Miami would be a hell of a game. Yeah. In the ACC championship game. And again, you just got to win the championship and you're in. That Miami, that would be a toughie. They've had a lot of close games this year. Would a 1-loss Miami team not make it in if they lose to a 2-loss Clemson in the ACC championship? It's going to be interesting where some of these teams end up. I think they would get in still a 1-loss Miami, but Clemson's still in the mix. They got to win this game though. If they lose this game, they're out.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that they actually have to win this game, wouldn't you say at even -230 on the money line, you almost have to treat that like it's a -1,000. They have to actually have it, right? And they have to know that. So, so the fact that it was -230, like, I kind of hitched my wagon to that.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I'm on Clemson on that one for sure. Jumping in here, a couple more games. Trying to find a few more big ones for us to talk about here. That was a lot of the big ones are early on in the week. Let's try to look at some of the late games. What we thought was going to be an awesome game this week at the beginning of the season is looking like an absolute bust, and that is Notre Dame 7-1 against 1-8 Florida State. Florida State undefeated to 1-8, 25.5. I just want to get a quick hitter from everybody. We don't have to get in depth in this one. It's up to 26 on DraftKings. Would you guys take the points here? Do you think Notre Dame covers the 26 against Florida State?
I hope so.
I think
I know. I only brought this up because Johnny's a gigantic Notre Dame fan. So I was like, I just wanted to see what you guys I wanted to see what everybody thought. I know Johnny's got Notre Dame by 1 million.
100 million.
They probably will. Florida State they're done, man. They've packed it in. So
that's what I was gonna say, Benny. I mean, honestly, besides actually playing for next year and actually where they're gonna land, potentially these players. They're not playing for each other. There's no doubt about that at all. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I mean, why they're probably thinking, "What am I going to do this weekend? Oh, I have a football game." So
in the portal.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Other monster contests. This is probably the best late night game of the slate, and that's Alabama 6-2 against 6-2 LSU. Number 11 Alabama at number 15 LSU. Right now, Alabama 2.5-point favorite, over-unders 58.5. This game is wild. If you look at the whoever loses this game, done. Season over. You'll make a bowl game, which no one will care about because the playoffs, you didn't make the playoffs, especially in the SEC. You got to win this game if you're still in the hunt for the playoffs. Any thoughts on this one? Benny, I'll start with you. What do you think Alabama, LSU? What are you leaning?
I think this is the fact that we have a playoff system now where this essentially is a playoff game.
This is like a playing game. It's like a playing game, right?
all these people that said, "Oh, yeah, make this playoff, and you're gonna have 12 teams," it's like it's gonna take away from the regular season. No. Like this game is a monster for both these teams. Like this is the season for these teams. I actually kind of lean LSU here.
I know.
I don't know why.
I just want to see if anybody else said it. I kind of like LSU in this game.
I mean, I'll probably put a little small something on this because
I'm keeping it out of a parlay.
But I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like LSU has that explosiveness. They have the quarterback. I'm LSU here if I had to do something. But the fact that this is such an awesome game at this point in the season is awesome. Like this is gonna be great.
Yeah, this is huge because if you look at it, you got Alabama right now 7th in the SEC, which is insane to say. Right now, they're 7th in the SEC at 6-2 overall, 3-2. Wow. You're 11th in the country, and you're 7th in your own conference. That's freaking wild to me. It's just wild to me. And then for LSU, they're only 2 spots behind. They're 15th. LSU is currently sitting 5th, but they have 1 loss with everyone else.
Yeah.
LSU is 2 conference wins behind Georgia and Texas A&M, but they're the same losses.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU, if they win this game, they can tie for the conference championship. They can make the championship. So, And again, I think if you end up with 2 losses, or if you get the championship game in the SEC and you end up with 3 losses, I think you're in the playoff.
Definitely.
So, I mean, this is a toughie, man. Johnny, did you look up passing yards for Milroe and Nussmeier in this game for LSU and Alabama?
Yeah, Milroe is an underdog. Milroe is 231.5, and Nussmeier is 289.5.
Oh, I've been taking that Nussmeier plus 300 a ton this year. I've been taking him plus 300. Yep, he's been hitting that 300 mark all year. I've been getting him at plus 300 with 2 touchdowns and throwing that in a mix. I'm telling you, Nussmeier, if he comes out, he's going to be in the mix in QB. I think he should go back to school. I'm telling you right now, if you not watch this guy play, he is tough.
He can sling it.
He's tough. He can sling it. I think he has a shot to be the number 1 QB if he comes back to school next year. Him and Milroe, I'm telling you right now, watch this game. If you are a guy that plays Devi, plays C2C, you're looking at your rookie drafts for next year, these 2 guys could be QB1 and QB2 in next year's draft. They absolutely could be. I think they both should come back. I really do, but they're both really good players. I think it's nice. Out of Rhythms jumping in here, he says LSU has the better offense. I also agree with that. I do think they have the better offense. That's why I like him. And then he says Milroe rushing. Yep, he can rush. He can run the ball. Like I said, he really to me is like a Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. The guy's got athleticism. He can run. Rushing touchdown's a great one for him. I'm going to be looking at that. And I had to bring this one up just because he put it in here. Out says McCord his comp is Kirk Cousins. He's like, I like it. I think he just feels like a guy that's a winner. He's not like overly cool. He's not like the guy that's like everybody's like, oh man, that guy's flashy and awesome, but he just like gets out there, slings the rock, and plays hard. I actually have not thought about that comp. I think it's a great comp. I think because I think McCord is a guy that would go like in the 3rd, 4th round in the NFL draft, and he could really end up having a good career. If he ends up in the right situation on a good team where he can actually like grow, he's sneaky. I like that a lot. So, man, this is a monster game. Toast, you got any thoughts here on this LSU-Alabama game, the big night game? Me and Benny are both leaning LSU. I'm loving Nussmeier over passing yards and 2 touchdowns, over 300 passing and 2 touch.
The only one actually stands out to me, again, is the Milroe's touchdown rush. So I get him for rushing touchdown. Just looking at the stats here, he has plenty of rushing touchdowns over the past 5 or 6 games. And and it's actually his passing yards have been trending downward again. I don't know much about the matchups. Every single team, there's a reason for that. I don't watch it closely enough, but just looking at the stats, that's what jumps off the page at me.
I like that one, Toast.
Yep. And hey, we're going to talk about 2-3 more games here as we're coming up in the hour. Then we're going to throw Benny's Plums bet of the week. I'm going to throw a JT Parlay. I'm going to let you guys help me throw a parlay in here. We got Boise State at home against Nevada, 7-1 Boise State. Me and Benny were all over them at the beginning of the year. We loved them to make the playoffs. We thought they were the Mountain West best team. Number 12 in the country. They're in right now. 3-7 Nevada, 24.5 point favorite. Aston JT in the mix for the Heisman. He's been phenomenal. What do you think? 24.5. They have absolutely rolled people. UNLV was the one game they haven't, and we knew that was going to be a good game, but they got the 29-24 win. I think they absolutely rolled Nevada. What do you think?
Boise State in that conference they're just better. They're just better than other teams. They got one of the best players in the country. It's a lot of points. It's one of those things where it's like Nevada's kind of scrappy. Like I could see them covering the number, but man, Boise State they're on a roll.
For reference, Nevada just lost by 17 at home to Colorado State. Now goes to Boise State, who is a whole lot better than Colorado State. They also lost at home lost at Hawaii, and Hawaii is not great this year. Even though we love to bet on the old Rainbow Warriors late night, they lost to them by 21. I'll tell you what, if you're taking Boise State in a parlay, I'm taking Boise State. I'm just going to move this line down to 21.
Yep.
I'm going to put it in a parlay. I'm just going to buy the points. I don't care. I'm going to put in a 4 or 5 team late night parlay, and I'm going to move it down to 21. Johnny, look up
Austin
look up
190.5 fucking yards.
190.5. I'm over.
Yeah.
I'm taking the over. 190.5. I'm taking the over.
They're gonna give him the ball 35 times, and he's gonna probably go for 220 and like 3 touchdowns.
Okay,
that's probably what's gonna happen. You know?
Underdog. He's only rushing plus receiving touchdowns. He's only 0.5.
He's a man.
It's only 0.5.
It's only
he's been at like minus 1,000. He's been at minus 1,000 for 1 touchdown the last couple weeks.
What was it for
rushing plus receiving touchdowns? He's only 0.5.
That can't be right.
How do you have 190 rushing yards and only 0.5?
That can't be right. There's got to be a mess up there. He's been at like minus 1,000 for 1 touchdown like the last couple weeks. You've had to take 2 or 3 touchdowns to even get reasonable odds the last couple of weeks. If it's at that, just hammer that, folks. If you can get on Underdog, check that out. If it's only that for him, that's a clear cut crush. I mean, apps a freaking crush. You have to get on that. They're the number 6 rushing team in the country, 268 yards a game. He's all over that. JT's the way to go. He's sitting at 1,525 yards rushing and 20 touchdowns already this year. That's a crush for me. I only brought up that game because of that reason.
JT, I threw in a chat there just real quick. If you're interested in knowing actually Milrose's rushing touchdowns this year, that's the stat line right there. That's his games. So I think he has 13 passing touchdowns and 12 rushing. I would imagine you're going to get a way better price on the rushing. And if you think this is going to be a game that's going to be pretty close, even if it's going to be a defensive game, I don't know. You tell me. But that definitely makes sense to go ahead and just get on rushing touchdown.
Yep, I think it's going to be an offensive game. Yeah, and he's talking about the Jalen Milroe rushing touchdown. 2-2-2-2-1-2-0-1. So he's only had 1 game this year he hasn't rushed for a touchdown. Yep. I'm liking that one big time.
I'm gonna be on that one, Toast.
Yeah. Hey, wait, Ben, let's put one together.
All right.
So hey, well, let's start working on one here. Pulling this up. Out of rhythm says sleeper won't let him play most week. JT, that is, yeah, that's true. JT, you got to look because man, sometimes they're just pulling him. I think Boise State is going to put it to the Wolfpack. I have no problem jumping on that. Taking. I love Toast. I love that Milroe pick. I'm in on that one. Washington State's the final game of the night, 7-1 against 2-6. Utah State 20.5 on that one. I'm not sure if I want to get on that game. He was asking, he says, Boise State on a bye? They're not. So, is Washington State on a bye? They are not out of rhythm. They are playing the final game of the night. They have the bye. They just came off the bye week. Tough game against San Diego State, who played them tough, but I don't like Utah State at all. I think they can roll Utah State. They've been pretty ugly. Pulling up their stats right now, Utah State just won by 2 against Wyoming, who is way, way, way down this year. Lost by 5 to Mexico, 16 to UNLV. I think Washington is right in that range with UNLV, and they lost by 32 to Boise State. I think Boise State, Washington State would be an absolute barn burner of a game.
I would look at Washington State. Whatever their team total points, I would look over on that. I mean,
I agree with you. I think that's probably a good move. If you look at what Utah State's given up the last couple of weeks, outside of the 25 they gave to Wyoming, who is terrible on offense this year, they've given up 50, 62, 45, 38, 48.
Yeah.
Washington State is the boys.
Washington. John Mateer's at 285.5 passing yards.
Okay, that's a decent number. The only problem with him is this is not your old Washington State. He will run the ball too. Mm-hmm. He's a dual threat guy. He's an absolute beast to have. He's averaging 269 a game, 257 last game, 295 the week before, 172 the week before, and then 2 monster 327, 390. John, what did you say it was for Mateer?
68.5 rushing yards for Mateer, but also 285.5 passing yards.
I think they can put up a lot of points. If I'm leaning on that one, Benny, I think I like where your head's at on that one. I think you take the Washington State over points, just like whatever their team total is. I like that one. Okay, so we're coming over just past the hour, fellas. We're going to break this thing down here. We're going to get our final thoughts in there. I'm going to build a JT Parlay play of the day. Benny, jump in there. Look at your Plums bet, who you want to do. So tell me, Toast here. I'm going to pull it up here on DraftKings. You guys lead me through this thing. I'm going to build the parlay and figure out what it's going to be. So right now I'm going to go back to the beginning of the week. I'm going to skip out on the Iowa UCLA game. I'm going to bet on that, but that's tomorrow night. I'm not going to put that one in there. I'm going to jump on Miami minus 11. I like Miami there. Keep going through the list here. Syracuse, we didn't really talk about that game. They're +2 at Boston College. I really do kind of like them in that one. They've been a little rough. I'm going to avoid them in my parlay here.
Can I ask what's going on? Why is Army only -4 versus North Texas?
North Texas has played tough. The biggest question for Army, and the only reason I didn't bring it up tonight, is their quarterback was hurt last week, and it was a huge difference maker. They limped by Air Force without their quarterback. If their starting quarterback plays, I think that's a hammer Army. If he doesn't, that one's a toughie for me. So I'm gonna jump on Iowa State -3. I'm gonna jump on Clemson -6.5. I like them a lot. Let's keep
JT,
working through here.
Take Indiana over 30.5 at -155.
Total points.
Yeah, total points. Indiana.
All right, let me jump in here. Let me see if I get.
Haven't been under, and it makes sense. The fact that again, Michigan, they're one-dimensional. The fact that they can't even pass the football, and actually, our boy here posting stuff said they can't run it either. I mean, so they can't pass. They
so you like
do.
Indiana over 30.5. You can get 27.5 at -235, 28.5 at -200, over 29.5 at -185, and 30.5 is 155.
Yeah, however you want to do it, you need to.
All right, let's take Indiana. What do you guys think? 30.5. They can get to 31.
Yep,
I think you're right.
30. Yeah, they have not been under 31 all year.
Yep, I like it. Let's jump on that one.
Is Washington versus Penn State? Penn State's number 6. They're playing Washington. Okay, so it's -13.5. Do you think that's Washington has played some decent teams pretty well this year? They didn't beat the competition they should have beat by what they should have beat them by, but they played some tough games versus better opponents, So I don't know. What do you think about that one? Is it minus 13.5, over under 46? I think 13.5 versus Penn State. Do you think that Penn State would be able to roll them by more than 2 touchdowns?
Man, Penn State has been tough to figure out this year.
Right.
Like when they played bad competition, they've for the
don't
most
play
part,
well. Yeah.
Like, yeah, so it's like they, that Ohio State game, like that was a big disappointment. I mean, I think they thought they should have won that one. They've just not put it to teams this year. It's like usually they're cover machines.
34-27, Kent State 56-0, of course. Illinois 21-7, UCLA 27-11.
Yeah, didn't cover against
30.
So they didn't cover against. They covered against West Virginia. Didn't cover against Bowling Green. Covered against Kent State. Didn't cover against Illinois. Didn't cover against UCLA. Didn't cover against USC. Wisconsin, I can't remember. They won by 15. It was close. I want to say that was like somewhere between 14 and 16. So that's maybe. They're just not a covered team. That's what's got me nervous. They should win that game at home against Washington, but they just are not covering this year. So that one, I'm just going to avoid it because that one I just don't feel great about at all.
Okay.
Right now I'm sitting in a 4-pick parlay for 1,075. Anything else that jumps out of it to us in this mix? I didn't even talk about Missouri, Oklahoma tonight, boys. I know I'm a Missouri guy. I didn't even want to get into it because I'm so upset. I don't even. It just makes me. Oh, here's the one we didn't. Benny, I wanted to talk about this one. UNLV minus 13 at Hawaii. We love to jump on the Rainbow Warriors late night. I think this is a smash. UNLV is so much better than Hawaii.
So much better.
I think I can't even believe it's 13. I think that's a smash.
Thing is, you know how it goes when you got to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, everybody wants to party it up, want to hang out. You got the flight, you got everything else. Yeah. I still remember one of my favorite bets ever was when Georgia was like undefeated and they were like a 50-something point favorite at Hawaii, and I took Hawaii to cover, and people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "They already made a bowl game." I'm like, "They're gonna party this mother up all weekend long. They're going to win, but they're not going to cover 50. And dude, it was like they won by like 17. Oh, yeah. It was like, it was like ugly. Hawaii stayed close the whole game. I think this might be my JT Parlay play of the day. I got Miami minus 11. I got Iowa State minus 3, Clemson minus 6.5, Indiana team total over 30.5, and UNLV minus 13. That's a 5-pick parlay for plus 2143. And then if I take this if I wait and you take this and get the they've been doing the Barstool 50 up to 50% on a 4+ parlay. You can throw that one on there. That one's been on DraftKings. So I like that. That's going to be my JT. Let me pull it up here. My JT Parlay play of the day, folks. This is the one I'm taking. And I'll read it to you again for anybody that's on the podcast form and not watching on YouTube. Miami minus 11. If you feel like taking that minus to 10, I wouldn't mind buying the point and getting down to 10. Iowa State minus 3 against Kansas. Clemson minus 6.5 against Virginia Tech, Indiana against Michigan, the over 30.5 team points, and UNLV minus 13 at Hawaii. That is my JT Parlay play of the day. Benny, do you got what are you thinking?
Right.
You got
so I'm only because this is going to be pretty much the game of the day, I think. But I'm thinking I'm going to go LSU at home against Bama. Give me the 3. Give me LSU. I was back and forth between that one, and we didn't even talk about this game, but Vanderbilt at home getting 4.5 too, and like Vanderbilt, I know, man, it's Vanderbilt, but Pavia, that guy, they've played every team so good, and South Carolina's coming off like the win of their freaking decade, so that's a real tough
dude. That
spot.
Feels like a slug match. That actually is going to be. Yeah, those were 2 teams I thought were going to be horrible this year. Man, 6-3 Vanderbilt against 5-3 South Carolina.
So I'm looking at two
both these
home
teams
dogs.
I think so good.
Yeah, I'm looking at 2 home dogs, but I think I'm gonna go with. And I hate to even say I'm doing it, but because I hate Kelly, dude. I hate him. But I'm gonna I'm going to take the Tigers plus the 3. Let's do it. LSU. I just don't think Bama is that good. And I don't know. I'm just feeling that. Feeling the Plums. I'm going LSU.
Feeling it deep in the Plums. That's Benny's Plums pick of the week. LSU -3. I love that one, Benny. I with you. You know what? Here's what I'm feeling a little. I'm going to look at this one, see what it'd be. I'm feeling a little 4-pick parlay SEC action. Let me get back in here. Let's see what we would get in a little 4-pick SEC action. I'm kind of liking this. It's been rolling around in my head here for a minute. We jump in there. Let's get in on. I'm finding the game.
JT, while you were thinking that, my pick of the day was going to be. There's no way that Georgia only wins by 2.5 over Ole Miss. I mean, I know Ole Miss is good, but I mean, I think Georgia's going to fucking roll them. I think they're just
John. I love it. So that was my first pick.
That's a good one. That's a good one,
Johnny. That's my first pick. I love it. I'm pulling it up here. So this is going to be our SEC. This is a 4-man. This is our 4-man SEC parlay for the week. Johnny's got Georgia -2.5. I absolutely love it. I love that pick, John. I'm all over that one. Benny, I like Vandy +4.5 at home. I like Vandy +4.5 at home against South Carolina. The fans there in Nashville are going to be ready to roar. They have not had a good home game in forever, and this team is playing well. Piego, dude, he's been awesome. Diego Pava has been freaking great, dude.
Yeah, that team is just tough as nails, dude. They just play everybody tough no matter what. So right now on DraftKings, LSU's 2.5. Benny, do you want to buy half a point? Should we get to 3? I think that would be smart, especially.
I like it. I like a half a point, man. Me and you both. I hate the half a point. I always feel like I get burned. I always get burned by the hook. So I'm pulling it up here. All right, so I've got that in there, and so we got one last big SEC game. Toast, is there an SEC game you love? I was trying to look through the last one here we got. So right now we've got LSU +3, Vanderbilt +4.5, Georgia -2.5.
Bulldogs, baby.
Here's the thing: if Brady Cook plays, I like Missouri at home +3. If he doesn't, I think they get rolled.
I was going to say
Drew Pine, their backup QB, is not good. He is just not good at all. If Brady Cook plays, this is Missouri's season on the line here. They got to win this game at home. And if you're on Twitter at all and you're part of the Mizzou or Oklahoma fan base, these teams have been at each other since this summer, just ripping each other all about this game for like 6 months now.
Throw that one on the money line, dude. Is Missouri where you're saying their quarterback's not going to play, or he might?
Brady Cook has been banged up, so if he ends up playing, so what happens? Brady Cook got hurt against Alabama. He went out, and Alabama just rolled them at that point. Their backup threw 3 picks in the game. It was ugly as could be. It got real ugly. Right now, you got Missouri 6-2, number 24 in the country against Oklahoma State. Against Oklahoma, who's 5-4. Oklahoma, in all honesty, has been real bad this year. They've lost until they beat Maine last week. Maine. People, they had lost to Mississippi, South Carolina, Texas, and then they beat Auburn by 6 and also lost to Tennessee. So they played some teams tough, but they did beat a tough Tulane team. I will give them that one. Oh.
God, so my goddaughter,
JT,
Johnny, what do you think?
My goddaughter, Mary Kate McGlynn, just committed today to the University of Missouri to be a volleyball player for the University of Missouri. So I'll be at Mizzou.
MIZ, baby.
Mizzou's my blood now.
Shirt on, MIZ. All right, we're doing it. Now you said that, I'm in. I'm back in on Missouri. I'm taking Missouri +3 on this sucker. You can get a 5. You get the oops, I got Indiana here. So we jump in here and run this one. All SEC. All SEC. Georgia -2.5. Vanderbilt +4.5. LSU +3, Missouri +3. We're taking 3 dogs
Love it.
Getting the points, and Georgia, we're getting
home dogs
plus 1,105. 4-pick parlay plus 1,405. That's the boys. I'm going to call that the boys parlay. We're going to put that one on the Twitter page at JT Orange and at JT Brews too. The boys parlay, SEC parlay play of the day. That's the one. Georgia minus 2.5, Vanderbilt plus 4.5, LSU plus 3, Missouri plus 3, 4-pick parlay plus 1,105. And again, if you're on DraftKings, if you wait till Saturday, they usually put the Barstool 4+ parlay 50% boost on that bad boy. You can throw that one in there. All right, guys, we're after an hour here. Anybody got any other games or any other things they want to kind of possibly throw out there?
JT, I'll just tell you guys, again, we've all thrown out our favorite bets here. I'll say right now, we need one Quinn Hughes shot on goal. And we're gonna hit this. We're gonna hit this parlay, dude. Everything else has went. We're looking pretty good right now.
We only need a shot from Hughes. That's it.
And we need this game to stay tight like it is, and actually have the under 25.5 shots on goal against Kemper, or saves anyway. It's looking real good right now. But my 5-pick parlay for college football is Indiana over 30.5 points.
Hey.
All right. You got Iowa State minus 3. You have Clemson minus 6.5. You got Jaden Milroe anytime touchdown scorer.
Yeah.
And Georgia minus 2.5. You got plus 1571.
Man.
So I'm
gonna have to do all these parlays now.
Yeah.
Just pray that one of them goes.
You won't know what you have going, Benny.
I have a 3 thing here. I have 3 thoughts. Okay.
All right.
One
throw it out there, Johnny.
Is fuck toast. Number 2 is fuck toast. Number 3 is fuck toast, because that 0.01 fucking game was such bullshit. And then you got the goalie win. I'm like, God damn it. So at least he lost by 3 points, but I was sitting up watching that goddamn game until the very last second. And then the guy scored. I'm like, motherfucker. I lost by 0.1. 297 to 297.4. I'm like, go
Johnny, we talked about it on the Around the Ice show tonight. We talked about Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames about how Johnny was down by 0.1 points in the hockey league tonight. 0.1 points, and I ended up winning by 0.1 point. It was a crazy week in fantasy hockey. That was crazy. Out of rhythm, thank you for joining the show. We will not take Luther Burden hate on this show. He says Burden's been garbage this year. How are they going to win? We will not take Luther Burden hate on this show. We will not do it. He has not played great this year, I have to say. He's been banged up. You're right. He has not been great. I still love Luther Burden. He's the man. He's going to have a big one. He's gonna ball out. Theo Weiss, ex-Oklahoma player. Look for Theo Weiss to ball out against his ex-team. A lot of hate has come his way from Oklahoma fans. They've talked a lot of smack to his dad. I'm going to jump on there. I'm telling you right now, I haven't pulled up the odds, but this is what I'm going to look at as my player prop parlay. I love the Jalen Milroe touchdown toast. I'm in on that. I'm in on Garrett Nussmeier over 300 passing yards. I'm in on that. I'm going to jump him on a couple TDs. Probably I'll throw 2 TDs on that. I'm also going to be in on Shadur Sanders over passing yards and over 2 touchdowns as well. Those ones I'm gonna pump those in there for sure. I'm probably gonna throw in a little Travis Hunter over receiving yards and a touchdown. Those ones I'll throw those on the Twitter page on the old X. We'll get those out there. But that's the player props right now that are just jumping out in my head. If you want a little Friday night parlay action, I'm doing it. I can't help myself. I'm taking Iowa. I'm taking San Diego State Friday night action. I will take down the Bruins at some point this year. They will lose and I will cover. They will lose and I will cover at some point this year. I'm going to keep betting until I win against the Bruins. So that's going to do it for us here on the Stew with JT. Me and Benny D usually here on Tuesday nights, moved it back to Thursday because of the election. Super thankful. Our buddy John McGlynn and Toast jumping in here and helping us. It was a fun show, fellas. You know what? Let's hit some freaking bets this week, right? Let's hit some parlays. Let's do some stuff. Let's get in on that. We really appreciate everybody. Tuesday nights, usually can find us on Around the Ice, me and Toast on the Around the Ice show at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Usually me and Benny D jump in afterwards with the college betting show, usually about 10 o'clock Eastern time, 9 p.m. Central time is usually when me and him, 11 Eastern, 10 Central is when me and Benny D are usually jumping in on the college football show. Make sure to follow all of us on Twitter, the X, me at JT Orange, at Toast Clark, at Ben Dyer 8, and at John McGlynn 75. If you haven't done it, please go like, subscribe, give us a review on Fantasy and Frames. We would really appreciate it. If you're not watching on YouTube, thanks for downloading the podcast. You can get us anywhere you listen to your podcast. Appreciate it. Thanks for everybody that watched the show, everybody that made comments. We really appreciate it, guys. That's going to do it for us here on the Stew with JT Brew. May all your bets hit and the trading never quit. We'll check you guys next time.
You up on trades and wire moves, you ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points, makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release, we started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery of the leaderboard. Quite obviously not a scrub, so start an institute, make evaluations like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sipping through sifting through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes, down to homies who click in groups. I introduce you to the Stew with JT Brew.
Hey, just me and you, Benny, and Johnny McGlynn. Oh, there's JT. Let him back in.
Everybody, kick me out right as the song was going. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.